Hunger has a sound. It is the heavy silence of a kitchen where there is nothing left to cook. I grew up in that silence. I watched my parents exhaust themselves as warriors in a daily war against an empty pantry. My father's calloused hands and my mother's thinning frame were the physical costs of that battle. Poverty is a restricted horizon. It limits your focus to the next meal and strips away the ability to choose a different path. This creates a survival trap. If every ounce of your energy is spent securing food for today, you have no resources left to build a future for tomorrow. No amount of traditional hard work can break that cycle on its own. I left home with nothing but a backpack and a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. I spent years sleeping in shelters and working for pennies just to keep moving. I took the jobs no one else wanted, carrying heavy crates, washing dishes, and sweeping the floors of corporate high-rises until my back felt like it would snap. While I was cleaning those offices, I looked at the people behind the desks. I realized that none of them worked harder than my father did. They just worked within a different architecture. This chart plots the relationship between time and income in a manual economy. When you trade 1 hour of labor for 1 hour of pay, your earning potential is strictly capped by your anatomy. You eventually run out of hours or energy. If wealth was the direct result of physical effort, the hardest manual laborers would be the richest people on Earth. Since they aren't, the formula of trading sweat for survival is mechanically broken. I stopped looking at the dust on the floor and started studying the systems that made those offices profitable. I saw that the wealthy don't rely on their own two hands. They build leverage, systems, software, or organizations that operate and generate value whether they are present or not. This diagram shows the shift. I stopped asking how to get paid for my time and started asking how to build something that pays regardless of my time. When you build a system that can be duplicated or scaled, your output is no longer tied to your physical fatigue. This is how you bypass the physical limit of the working day. The transition is agonizing. Building these systems requires you to work without immediate pay, to look like a failure for months, and to keep going while your bank account stays at zero. Escaping the gravity of poverty requires the mental strength to abandon the safety of a daily wage so you can architect long-term, scalable systems. To survive the years it takes to build leverage, I focused on a single microscopic goal: being slightly more capable, slightly more informed, or slightly more disciplined today than I was yesterday. This graph shows the result of stacking microscopic gains. At first, the progress is so small it is effectively invisible. This is the plateau where most people quit. You are putting in more effort than ever before, but the needle shows no visible movement. You feel like you're failing, even though you're actually building the foundation for what's next. When I felt like quitting during that flat stretch, I stayed fueled by the memory of that empty plastic bowl. I used that hunger as a reason to keep pushing when the logic of the situation told me to stop. Eventually, the cumulative weight of those thousands of tiny improvements begins tipping the odds in your favor. The curve turns upward, and the results finally start to reflect the years of work you put in. Significant success is rarely the result of a lucky break. It is the outcome of thousands of microscopic victories finally reaching a critical mass. The silence of that dark kitchen is gone. In its place is the security of a full table and a family that no longer has to trade their health for their survival. Giving my mother the keys to her new home was about more than the building. It was the moment the anxiety over the cost of a meal was permanently erased from her life. If you are looking at a world that feels like it wasn't built for you, don't let that frustration consume you. Use it. The dirt you started in does not define your trajectory. It simply provides the hunger required to build something that lasts. Your breakthrough isn't a single moment of luck. It is 1,000 tiny, boring victories stacked on top of each other while no one is watching. Stop wasting your energy competing with a world that doesn't care if you succeed. The only metric that matters is whether you are more disciplined today than the person you were yesterday. The world is indifferent to your excuses, but it eventually yields to persistence. Keep building. Someone's dream life depends on your refusal to quit.